Moving on to some movies that you may remember when these were released. It was straight to TV, quick to DVD deals. We just saw the kids at their youngest. This is them we've ever seen at their oldest. They're probably in their early to mid-20s here. They're semi-professionals. And again, I won't waste too much time on this, but this is another situation where the teeter-totter is broken. It just doesn't work. The monsters are real, yet they try to maintain the gags. Not really much going for it. Okay. Anybody who thinks this is a Scooby-Doo movie, that's not quite the right way to put it. This is a Scooby-Doo parody. The people that wrote this movie and came together creating this, they did it the wrong way. I have visions of them in their boardroom saying, hey, isn't Thelma always the one that loses her glasses? Yeah, let's put that in there. Or, hey, doesn't Shaggy allude to the fact that he's doing drugs? Let's put in jokes about that. Hey, you know what? Everybody hates Scrappy, right? Let's make him the Antichrist. And it just missed the mark. I don't think there was an audience for it. And of course, the second one came around. Something that they really stress in this is that the gang is famous to a certain degree. They're famous, at least in a local level. They have all the news cameras are around whenever they solve a mystery. That's not who the gang is. The gang travels around the countryside. They run into mysteries. They solve them. And they eventually head on their way without too much of a thanks to the rock music festival or to the beach party or to the malt shop or wherever. Two good things I will say about these films is that there was an increase of quality between 1 and 2. Had they made a third one and the quality had continued to increase that way, I would have liked the third one. Two additional good things. Matthew Lillard did a really good job of creating the friendship between Shaggy and Scooby, despite the fact that he could never actually see Scooby. And Linda Cardellini did a really, really great job as Velma. Everybody else, not so much. What's new Scooby-Doo? This is when the show started to become self-aware. We're back to the formula here. In fact, we're back to the chase scenes, too. In fact, we're back to adding some celebrity appearances every once in a while. They did update it, clothing. They're using cell phones and computers now. But the self-awareness started to get a little bit taxing. They started poking a little bit too much fun at themselves. It happened every episode. Pretty good episode at a time, small doses, but eventually it wore. Shaggy and Scooby-Doo get a clue. You can see by the title probably why I don't like this, and that's that it's just Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. What did I say before? They need an initiator. They need somebody to put them into that situation. This completely breaks the back of these two characters. Not to mention the animation is a little jarring and the voice acting was subpar. Okay, that's the history. What did I miss? A lot. Moving on. So, here we are at present day. Scooby-Doo, there you are. Yes, Scooby-Doo has emerged from his adolescence. He looks back and he sees the mistakes that he's made, like we all do. We all look back at our teenage years and we realize we're going through these formative stages where we did stupid stuff. The most important thing about growing up is not that we're able to look back and forgive ourselves, but that we're able to accept who we were and who we are because of it. And that's exactly what Scooby-Doo does in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. I don't know if anybody's seen this show, but I'm a huge fan. The animation is different, and that takes a little getting used to. They are in modern day. They're using computers, they're using cell phones, but check it out. Fred is wearing an ascot in 3 decades. Honestly, he has not worn an ascot in a Scooby-Doo series in 3 decades. It's wonderful to have it back. There is also an overall arc to the story over the entire series. We're not just looking at episode and episode and episode and wrapping it up and forgetting about it. Everything has its place and everything is taken into consideration as far as history in this series. So they're located in a place called Crystal Cove, that is their home. They also continually get calls from a mysterious Mr. E, who alludes to a group of mystery solvers that came 20 years before them and vanished. It's very, it's not easy to dismiss warnings like that. They also have a mystery museum that's located in Crystal Cove, and they do a really nice job of looking back at villains we've seen before, characters we've seen before. This might be a turnoff initially, but believe me, they do it in a delicate way that it's wonderful. And even Scrappy shows up as just this little statuette in the museum. Vincent Van Gogh, who was premiered in 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, he shows up as a real character in a couple episodes. They do a great job. Obviously, Vincent Price isn't voicing him anymore, but it's a great character. The Creeper, some of you may remember this episode from Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Well, they do a wonderful, wonderful job in an episode called The Legend of Alice May. Check it out. If you see one episode in this series, check out The Legend of Alice May. And it's basically an episode 40 years in the making. It's cool. For anybody who has ever argued the point that what are these kids doing driving around, they never go to school, they don't have any parents, what's going on? Well, guess what? Now they do go to school, and now they do have parents. And with that comes responsibility and repercussions, and it makes us care about the characters. Yeah. You saw it, you can't unsee it. With that, I'm just going to go through a couple of slides, and I just want to see if you can understand the tone of what they're going for. Mind you, the formula has returned. They've returned the formula completely. But now we get a new style, and we get a new feel, and there's new dangers to it. We find ourselves wondering what happened and what's going to happen. There's mystery abound. We get a feel for the location, additional characters, where they might be going, where things have come from. And I love this picture. I will remind you again that this series is called Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. At the beginning, when I showed that first picture of the entire group, I had Mystery Incorporated written above us because that is the name of the group. Scooby-Doo is always going to be a part of the title, but unlike Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? It's all about Scooby-Doo. The Scooby-Doo show, obviously all about Scooby-Doo. A pup named Scooby-Doo, very focused on Scooby-Doo. They make an intentional point of calling this series Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated because it is about the group. It is not about Scooby at the middle anymore. This is about all of them, and we care about every single one of the characters. All right, Scooby-Doo. This is the future. What's going to happen? Well, if you ask me, we're at the impasse here. We can either go back to the original, where we just watch half-hour episodes, they've got a nice little internal arc, and that's it. Or we can try a new animation style. We can try to continually push how serious it is. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated does amp up the serious a little bit. There's still some gags in there. They're not as cartoony as they've been before. Those things are getting a little more serious. But I don't want to see this. I don't need something overly sexualized or violent. I don't need something dystopian. I don't need this. The important thing is to maintain the integrity of the formula of Scooby-Doo. Because when we take things too seriously, especially things from our childhood, it turns this into this. And it turns this into this. And for the love of everything good in the world, it turns this into this. Just to cap this off, you can't expect to take Little Red Riding Hood, this fable, this story, and turn it into a dark, sexualized teen drama. That's like taking the recipe for pancakes and expecting to turn out a lobster dinner. You just can't do it. The formula for Scooby-Doo is indeed like a recipe. It's like a recipe for pancakes. It's simple, and if you follow the instructions correctly and cook it just right, they turn out well. Feel free to add cinnamon every once in a while. If you want to cut up a banana and put it on top, that's okay. Just make sure you have a pancake. Maintain the integrity of the pancake. I've been Luke Moravec, Scooby-Doo Forever. Thank you. What's that?
Anybody have any questions, really?
Yes, second.
In your opinion, deferring to your expertise, I'm desperate to know, what is your high watermark? What is your most favorite, most demonstrative, most illustrative moment within Scooby-Doo?
I think, if you look at an entire series, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? It's tough to beat the original. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated is definitely making a run at it. I've never felt more energized, though, in the episode that I mentioned, The Legend of Alice May, which is part of the newest series. There was that moment. I guess I don't want to spoil it, but that episode itself. I'm not going to. Check it out, Legend of Alice May. That, for me, was a great moment. But again, if you're looking at the series, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
The series that's on right now, A, what channel is it on? And B, how long are the episodes?
Cartoon Network, and they're back to the half-hour format.
How come the fake monsters never broke character? Even when they're off in a cave somewhere where they don't think anybody's around, they're still walking around.
There are moments like that. It's interesting. I'm trying to remember the name of the episode. Yeah, they show an opening sequence where there's basically the head baddie and these two like zombie slaves, and of course they're all real people. And yeah, they do show an example. He's like demanding that they go do something for their master, and yeah, there's nobody else watching. That is interesting. I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know. It's just fun, though. It's fun to pick apart stuff like that.
So, in your opinion, how important is camp to the series, and how well are they doing with incorporating or not incorporating the camp humor into the current series?
Back to the teeter-totter, I think as long as the camp is appropriately balanced with how serious you want to make the series. I think at certain points the camp was important. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? They did it enough. It was nice. It was funny. It depends what audience you're really going for. And I think at this point, with Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, they are trying to develop it into something a little higher. The humor's still there. The camp is just going somewhere else. So I think it's an evolution of the humor of the show. And it may return to it. As I mentioned right after I said that, what's the future going to be like, there is an impasse. We can either make it more serious, or we can return to perhaps the camp. I don't know how important it is, but depending on the series, you can definitely see the importance of it. Thanks. Time for one more, maybe, or there's no more? Yeah. Yes.
No, somebody else.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I don't think so. I think you're good.
In the second series where Scooby-Doo would engage with celebrities, which one is your least favorite celebrity engagement?
I have to admit, I haven't seen all of them.
In the one that you've seen,
I know
just
I
say
don't know.
Mama Cass.
Surprisingly, the episodes.
I'll say Mama Cass.
Surprisingly, the episodes with Batman actually weren't really all that great. But you can't, hurt Batman as a character. He's a great character. Mama Cass is my answer.